The save corruption has been acknowledged and we got a laundry list. Hello, my name is Jennifer and welcome to my Sims 4 news video. So the Sims Direct tweeted and shared on the Sims Discord that they're aware of issues impacting For Rent and save files and are investigating this further. They asked for us to continue to share details through the EA forums thread and upload any impacted save files to assist in their investigation. And then they link to this particular thread, which we will go over. But first, they also followed up to say, in the meantime, they resolved a number of player reports in the upcoming base game update and check out the laundry list for more details. So I will go over the laundry list, what was on it, some things that people would have liked to have seen that weren't on it. But first, we're going to dial back to that save corruption. Here is the thread from the forums, which essentially is, please read it, about save game corruption. So read this first post, which is what we're going to go over, and post in the thread that reflects your issue best, and go in order from the top of this to the bottom if you see multiple of the symptoms. The top ones are more specialized than the bottom ones. You can comment on this particular thread, but Maxis isn't actually tracking things on this thread. You need to go to the specific ones, which we'll go over and get to. So the problem is the save game starts to disintegrate itself. Lots start to get deleted, causing endless loading into empty lots or error codes 800 and 801. And one thing I'm going to say is that this isn't really a new issue. These issues have been around for a while. This is dated recently because we had the new forums, and so this was set up there. We would have had similar ones over on the old, which was transferred over, but it's in an archive section. They're handled differently in terms of how the format is. I'll get to that later. So they are closed, and anything that's new is got a new thread. Hence why it seems new, but it actually isn't new. So where to post, you can see there are 6 things that are listed. So the first one noted there is if you get a white screen after loading into a world with a residential rental, please use that first thread. Second, if your save is corrupting and you have a lot of residential rentals in your save game, please use the second thread, which essentially is where the save has a lot of rental units. If you get load error 800 or 801, there is a separate thread for that. If your game shows all the neighboring lots as default or empty instead of the correct lot, use this other thread. Now, I looked at that thread specifically, and that's if you go in live mode and you're looking around the neighborhood and it looks like they're describing, that's what they mean. It's not from the map view, it's from live mode that the neighborhood looks wrong. And then if you downloaded a lot from the gallery and that gives you endless loading, crashing when leaving the lot or trying to load into it, there's a separate thread for that, but that is not a corrupted save game. It's a corrupt lot. And then if you have buildings that are disappearing, or you have exclamation marks or llamas on the map, or the houses are different on the map than in the game, even after loading into the lot, there is a separate thread for that. So those are the 6 threads that if you're having those issues that you should go comment, give them information, and hopefully if you haven't deleted your corrupt save, to share it with them so it can help them resolve the issues and hopefully get a fix out. So here is some troubleshooting. So the issue is really hard to pinpoint, but there are a few things that can accelerate the issue of corrupting saves. So the first one is the issue is not caused by mods, but it can be influenced by mods and cheats, especially if you create lots of residential rental units in your save game, especially if you use cheats, I guess, for that. So the next one is that save game size. So the issue of corruption typically happens on larger save games. There are a few factors that contribute to save game size that you can keep an eye on to try and keep your save game size down. So if you have lots of huge houses with lots of objects, try to keep those down. Consider using empty houses for set decoration if you don't play certain lots but want houses to make it look nicer. They're not saying to get rid of it in your saves you're playing and your lots you're playing. It's the ones that are just around in the neighborhood. Photos Sims take in-game. Try to only keep the photos you really like and that contribute to your gameplay. Delete everything else. photos take up a lot of space in a save, so they can make your save file a lot bigger. Lots of sims. The game creates sims at abundance. Delete the ones you don't use from time to time. And that's like mainly like the NPC type sims. Sims you're not using at all. You should just delete some from time to time if you're noticing your save is getting large. Unfortunately, usually there's nothing you can do once it starts happening. But what you can do is 1, try and keep your save game size down. And 2, make sure you keep backups of your saves. And don't save over your backups. Have them like at points in time, because you don't know how far back you may have to go to recover. So if you have, especially if you have a save you really care about, keep multiple backups always, so that if you have to go back, you can go back to that point. The other thing that I have heard, and this doesn't help with the issue that's causing your save to be corrupted, but I've heard that some corruption can spread to other saves, and one way to prevent that, so I've heard, is to shut your game between switching saves. So if you go into another save and your game was open, then you're more likely to cause corruption to spread. It's not going to stop it in the save that was having the problem in the first place. These things are things you can try to prevent it in the first place, but you can try and prevent it from spreading to other saves if you play multiple saves, obviously. So we're back to the laundry list. So there are like some 4 sheets there, and then we also have the laundry list, which we'll take a look at. So this is the summary of some of the items. The laundry list itself did not have that many things on it, so this is actually a lot of the things from the laundry list, because the laundry list only had 23 items, which is kind of short compared to some of the more recent laundry lists. So you've got Sims will no longer walk through walls. The movers and shakers gym is not going to have missing walls in the bathroom. I'm not sure if that's only going to be for ones going forward or existing ones, assuming you haven't edited the existing ones. I would think it's probably more for going forward. The thrift tea bubble tea counter in the thrift tea shop will have an NPC vendor properly attend to it. The Grim Reaper's arrival for the chicken notification is no longer triggered when animal aging is disabled. Teen Sims who are followed to school by the player and returned back home will be able to post about all recent events to the Social Bunny app. Then we go on to the resume knitting, the fixed action cue for that, so yay for that. Fixed spine distortion for male Sims with feminine physical frames. Household funds should not differ depending on how households are being placed from the gallery, so no more households importing with negative simoleons. I'm a little kind of wondering about that, because I know that I saw the bug report, but anyways, we'll see how that is, because I know right now if I save my Sims with their money, I can place them into another save and they keep their money. That I like. Not a fan of negative simoleons, but I do like them keeping their money. New Sims will no longer start with negative fame, and their celebrity reputation is displayed correctly in the Simology panel. That reputation has got nothing to do with celebrity status, but that's just how the bug report was written. Sims moving from one rocking chair to another can now resume knitting without a routing error. And then here's the next 2, which is only 1 page with some things. Sims with a Renaissance aspiration will no longer complete the aspirational task of reach level 3 of any career without actually joining a career and reaching said level. Fixed basements disappearing when a bigger lot is imported to a smaller lot from the library. Specific full body outfits will no longer result in body shape changes. Convince to buy interaction will no longer serve as an invitation for an NPC Sim to enter your Sim's house. And child Sims should not perform the make a mess interaction continuously. So, and then they just have this sort of summary, which we're not going to go over onto the second page there. So here's the actual laundry list. Welcome to the laundry list, where we'll share a list of top community concerns that they're investigating and hope to have resolved in the upcoming patch. Now, for that upcoming patch, I expect it to be next Tuesday, February 25th. That's when the eyes are on the roadmap. And that is 9 days before the Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack launches, and that is consistent with what happened with the Life and Death expansion pack. We got that base game update 9 days before that pack released. So I really think that this update is sooner than, historically was done, but consistent with the last one. i.e. next Tuesday, February 25th. So the list is part of their effort to tackle technical issues, i.e. per their commitment back in May 2024 to fix the game, and is directly influenced by the amount of community reports through Answers HQ and the Sims 4 EA forums. They've now fully moved all bug reporting to the EA forums, so please continue to upvote. That's what you do now versus adding a Me Too if you have the same issue, or submit any issues you are experiencing to help them populate future laundry lists. I'm going to talk a little bit about that transfer. And then they do the usual, some issues may not be listed here, they're still in the process of being addressed, and they're looking for more details. And then as with each new patch, please remember to remove any external game mods and custom content if you're experiencing issues as the first step in troubleshooting, as they may conflict with updates. Now, I would go a step further. This is going to be a major game update, and I would say you're best to completely remove your mods folder when you're, first going into your game. But if you can't play without your mods and you don't know when they're going to be cleared or updated, because, modders are busy, they don't necessarily get them out immediately, may not be possible to do that, then if you play in the EA app, I really recommend that you go offline and not update. So turn off automatic updates and then just go offline when you want to play until you know everything's been cleared or updated. I do have a separate tutorial video on that, and I'll be back with some more details closer to the update. So we're going to take a look at the whole thing about the forums transferring. So the new EA forums was live at the end of January, and the bug forum from Answers HQ was migrated, but the old posts from AHQ were migrated to what's called a bug archive. So they are read-only and they can't be interacted with. But it doesn't mean that EA isn't looking into them. They're still on their plate, and it's not necessary to repost every post ever made on AHQ. Except for there are times where they are, like the one with the save corruption. Unless the thread was very unpopular, aka Zero Me Too's, or you have new information, the report in the archive is enough. So Crin is going to be actively marking threads as fixed when they're in the patch notes, or as archived with a link if there is a new thread made. So essentially don't report everything again. It's just going to be more work. Now, this essentially is reiterated here. Crin linked to a couple of posts on the forums, which really kind of say the same thing, where EAK has said, there's no need to report the currently open issues, as the current bug reports are in that section and they are still looking into them. They're set up different on the back end for handling bug reports, so they can't merge them into the actual bug report section. And it's just because of the difference in the type of forum. And he repeats that again in the general information about the bug reports forum in the circled section right there. And I'm not going to read it again because essentially it says the same thing. So the other thing that is different, I think, from in the new bug forums is that some small issues actually have collection threads. So they have, a thread for things that are similar as opposed to separating everything out. So that is probably better, but that's just how it is. And Crin does have like a list with all the issues, and she has the collection threads too, so you can link to it and see it. So here is the actual laundry list. So here is like the first half of the list. And then I actually went through and checked where the links went, and everything with an A is to the archive section of the bug forums, and anything with the N is to the new area of the bug forum. So that gives you an indication that they are definitely looking at that old section, because there's a lot of things on the laundry list from that old section. The cottage living one with the Grim Reaper, that was going to the old section, but I kind of wonder if that was just an incorrect link, because there is a version of this bug report that's in the new section, and the one it linked to was already marked as fixed. So I think this, while it linked to the old section, probably should have linked to the new one, but we'll see when the update happens and what happens with that. Here's the second part of the list, the rest of the items, and here is me going through, and only one thing was on the new section, though it actually had one in both places, but it was one of those bugs that did get its own bug report, and it already had a bug report, to be honest, because some bugs were reported in both, like from the get-go, because the new forums were opened before everything switched over, so in some cases they had them in both cases, and this is true with that resume knitting one. So here's a list of some things that weren't on the laundry list. So that save corruption, which we've already discussed, and like I said, it's an old issue. There were different causes. The weather effects occurring inside the structures. You can't fish at island living fishing signs. Only one teen is getting high school year goals. Occult eyes and features disappear in lib mode. Plants reverting to dirt piles. That's a very old bug. And some clutter still missing or missing tags. All these things are actually in the new section of the bug forums because they had enough stuff that they created their own new reports and are still getting new information on them. And the one other thing that's not in the new section, but is still something people might think about, is the Grimborn trait is causing distortion, and that is in the quote-unquote archive section, so it's also something that hasn't been fixed, and hopefully it'll get fixed soon too. So obviously there's lots of issues that are not on the laundry list, but these are some ones that I know I see a lot of people asking about a lot of times, so I just thought I'd, acknowledge they're not on the laundry list, and they do have bug reports. And in this case, for these ones, they all have ones in the new section of the bug forum. So anyways, have you experienced any save corruption? Hopefully you haven't, but if you have, definitely go over and provide your information. And if you have your saves, they can look at it, because the more information they get, the sooner they're going to be able to figure it out and hopefully fix the issues. And were there any issues on the laundry list that you were happy to see? I'd love to know in a comment below. But that's going to be it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!